Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is your host Majestic speaking with another episode of MechWarrior Online here. And today we're going to be taking out the assassin hero Darkdeath. And as you can see, we are playing our first round on Grim Plexus. So we're going to go through the details of the build right after this. We're going to hop back into the mech lab. But as you can see, I have an AC2 in the right arm. We have two mediums, one on the head and the left torso, and then two streak 2s in the right torso. So some long-range support, some mid-range support, and then some close-range support. But what we're doing here is we're just doing a little bit of surveillance. We are playing assault, so we're keeping close to the base right now as our team gets a little organized, and just scanning a little bit into the distance, seeing where they're grouping up, if they're going on top of the platform in the far distance, if they're trying to get a flank on us or anything. And I do have some shots that I can put down here with the AC2, some long-range kind of fire, and we are connecting a little bit with a couple of these guys who are just peering over the top of the buildings. So as you can see, the AC2 does fire pretty rapidly, and right now what we're doing is we're literally just providing some suppression fire, pretty much getting these guys uncomfortable, making them not stand in their positions for too long, and telling them pretty much, you know, you have to get back into cover, otherwise I'm just going to keep pelting you with my AC2. So I do have some terrain that I'm using to my advantage while I put down these shots, so it is very difficult for them to return some fire unless you're like this guy who has large lasers, and he's going to get me to move just a little bit, but I pretty much am at max range for him at that distance. And they are trying to return some fire, but I think we have them, for the most part, pretty suppressed right now. They aren't making too much of an advancement, not too aggressive, but our team is probably going to start making a move soon. I'm looking on the minimap, and I do see some movement for our team in Echo 6 into Fox 6 even, so I'm going to provide some support for the team. We have some friendlies down there already, so I'm going to move up just a little bit, put some suppression fire down even more. We have the Centurion that's popping out of nowhere. Looks like he sees our friendly that is backing up over there, and we're going to get some free damage down on him. He's not even paying attention to us. Low signal, and that means that there is something with ECM, and it's right in front of me. This Arctic Cheetah is providing this Centurion with some support, but now the Centurion is turning back around. We're going to get some more damage on him, and he goes back into cover. I don't think he does see where we are, but he's realizing that he's going to be outgunned very soon. So between the suppression I'm putting down on him and the amplification from my team, and oh my gosh, there's a Marauder 2C right in front of me. Oh my gosh, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. Okay, so he did get a little bit of a spray damage down on me, but I do have some support from some friends. Our Mad Dog just jumped down into the pit right in front of this Marauder 2C. He's shut down, so we're going to have to provide some amplification damage and some support so that he can get back to the rest of the team. This Cataphract is laying into him. I'm backing up with you, buddy. I put down my airstrike just so that I could save your ass, so you better be thankful because you do live to fight another day. But now we have a Kodiak that's going on, and it looks like he does have a selected target, so we're going to help him out and provide some amplification support. This Marauder 2C is very, very beat up, so we're just going to keep putting some damage down on him, and we did get a lot of amplification support there. That does cause him to back up a little bit. He is still supported by that Cataphract, so we're not going to be too aggressive, but we definitely sent a strong message over to them to back up. And now in front of us we have this Hunchback, and it looks like he just caught out of position there. He was right at the end of the trench, and we put down those AC2s, a little bit of extra fire into him, and he backed up. This Orion is going to turn around. He's going to put some damage down on me, and he does get a couple salvos of SRMs into me. Weakens up my right torso, but I definitely have the speed advantage on him, so I'm going to use that to my advantage and get out of the way. But we're going to put some damage down on this King Crab now, who's trying to provide some amplification support from the top there, but he had a weak center torso, and I took him out. So that is a huge kill for our team. 100-tonner is off the battlefield. Definitely an added benefit for our team and our positioning. So now I'm going to provide some amplification and flank damage coming in on the left side of their formation. And what we're going to do is we're going to poke on top of this hill because they are distracted by the rest of our team that's focused up in Fox 6. So we're going to just going to poke on top of the hill here, put down some damage, and whoever we see in this Cataphract has a very, very weak left torso. He finally recognizes us, but not before we get a couple salvos of damage down. We are getting some amplification support from the rest of our team. The Cataphract goes down. Now this Warhammer's turn is coming up. He's going to go down pretty quickly. And now the rest of my team is just providing that flank support, so these guys are torn between who they should be focusing on. It's now 9-2, so we only have a couple opponents left. That Warhammer finally goes down. down 10-3 at this point, and just this Orion and one other guy left. So we're going to go for the Orion right now. Looks like he's going to go down pretty quickly. I believe he's pretty weak, if I had to guess. He's on the other side of our formation here. And there goes another one of them, so it's 11-3. Yeah, it's that Orion again. He still made it through the rest of the match. The Orions are very tanky, but finally gets taken down. 12-3 is your final here. Let's see the results of the match. A great match overall, great teamwork. Helped each other out, and we only lost a couple mechs. 1 kill, 11 assists, almost hit every single one of our opponents on the battlefield. 533 damage, 4 components destroyed. Overall, a great group effort here, and we provided the support and the role that we intended to play. Amplification and support damage from mid and long range. So until we got close to use those SRM2s and just put down some extra DPS, constant DPS, that was our main priority. That was our objective, to help out the team to get those big kills in the beginning. So that's going to do it for the first round. Let's hop back into the mech lab and go through the rest of the details of the build. Alrighty guys, welcome back to the Mech Lab, where we're going to go through the details of the build on this guy that I have in front of me, the Darkdeath variant of the Assassin. I'm very excited to go through this with you guys, and as you can see, it is very aesthetically pleasing to look at. That custom paint scheme on here is definitely, does kind of resemble the Blood Pact paint scheme for the Resistance, or the Resistance Wave 1. And I think it really looks nice on this mech. Obviously, being an assassin, it's all like blood covered and stuff like that. And the default colors on MWO Mercs just don't do it justice. It's when you put on these bold accent colors that you really see what this mech looks like in the limelight. So I really am happy that it came out like this. I like this color scheme. It fits with the scheme of the channel and everything, so it kind of just works all together. I hope you guys like it as well. But we're gonna go through all the details of this particular variant, because it is an extra, specifically $15 just to pick up this one variant. So, you know, whether you picked up the standard pack and maybe the reinforcements and you're still debating on the hero and everything, I'm gonna go through the details of the build so you know exactly what this mech has to offer. I don't want you guys to be confused or think that there's any kind of you know, questions revolving around whether or not you should purchase this, because I'm going to give you an honest opinion about this particular variant by the end of the video. So definitely stay tuned. As for right now, before we go into the actual details of the build, just a couple notes. This is a completely mastered mech. As you can see, I invested the GXP to get this thing completely mastered for you guys so that you could see how it performs from an optimal perspective. As you saw in that first round, it did do a pretty decent job. Grim Plexus is definitely a great map to try it out on for a first impression, but I'm curious to see more, so we will be going through another round. But as it stands right now, let's check out what this guy has to offer. And again, it is an Innersphere 40-tonner, medium class mech, and if we look at the quirk summary, it does have some structure buffs, you know, some armor everywhere. Center torso, left torso, left arm, right arm, left leg, and right leg. So pretty much, you know, almost the entire mech has some armor buffs. But then you also have a ballistic cooldown of 15%, energy cooldown 10%, missile cooldown 10%, and AC2 cooldown of 10%. So, as you guys already saw in the first round, you already know what my loadout is. And it's just a matter of mixing and matching. I was literally, you know, trying to put different scenarios together. What are the trade-offs here? What would work well together? And I wanted to encompass not only every hard point, but every quirk at that. So to make sure that not only we're using the weapons that this mech has to offer, but that you guys could see how those quirks perform in action. So I figured Streak 2s obviously have, apart from SRM 2s, have the shortest cooldown time, and then to stack a 10% cooldown on there, you know, I decided to go with Streak 2s, both centered in that right torso, both of the hard points here. And then I placed the AC2 in the right arm, so we are taking advantage of that ballistic hard point with the ballistic cooldown, and the AC2 cooldown gets a 25% cooldown. That's how they are able to fire off that fast. There it is there. You can see it stack up there. And then I placed 2 medium lasers, one in the head and then one in the left torso. So we're utilizing every hard point, and the left arm is literally just serving as a shield for us. I placed 2 jump jets, one in each torso. I also placed the Guardian ECM suite. This is one of the few variants that does come with this Guardian ECM hardpoint in there, so I wanted to take advantage of that. So this mech does have, as you can see, every hardpoint for any particular weapon or piece of equipment filled. So I did want to give you guys that perspective, utilize everything, and then take into consideration making sure this mech is as heat efficient and strong as possible. So 40 out of 40 tons being utilized, 68 out of 78 slots, 256 out of 274 armor. I took 16 hard points off of the left arm and then 2 hard points out of the head. So that is where your 18 hard points of armor are coming from. And then I placed an XL235 in there, which gives, with being mastered with Speed Tweak, it has a 102.3 kph maximum speed rating. I figured as long as I'm over 100, you know, any medium moving 100 kph is pretty fast. So that was my barometer. My minimum was 100, and this was a perfect engine to fit in there, the XL235. So it definitely works with how I wanted to set this mech up. It's more of a support mech. It's not a brawler. Obviously, once you get closer, you know, you can use those streak 2s, the mediums, fire off the AC2, but it really is more suppression and mid-range. So that's the goal that I was going for here until you get to close range, and then you can utilize these streak 2s a little bit more. 1.33 heat management ratio, so very heat efficient mech. Has 10 double heat sinks in there, so I only placed 1 external. 9 came with the XL235, so you need at least 10 in order for it to be a valid build to take out there on the battlefield. So I did place 1 external in the left torso. Firepower, the alpha is 20 points of damage, which doesn't seem like a lot, but even after that first round, I hope that you guys were able to take away that this mech is dealing constant DPS. And when fired in sequence and constantly, yes, you do stack the heat up a little bit, but to constantly keep churning through, you know, different additions up to 20 damage within split seconds of each other, this mech really knows how to put down some damage. And you know, hopefully between the first game and then the second game, when we go through that, you see how this this role in particular plays out, and the intention behind how I wanted to play this build. It's a very unique mech. It's a very unique variant, so it's not going to appeal to everyone as something that you feel like you need or should or have to purchase. So I just want to keep that in mind ahead of time, so that when you watch between the first round and the second round, you just understand what the intention was, how it was built out, and then see it in action out there on the battlefield. Jump distance, 26.3 meters. I have 2 jump jets, class 4 jump jets, 1 in each torso. And then, again, that XL235 in there. With being mastered, it has 102.3 kph. Again, we do deal with the current skill tree system and the current tech. So once the new tech is introduced to the game, I'll probably wind up revisiting a lot of the old builds that I went with, you know, just to mix it up a little bit. But as for what it has right now, you know, we do have a lot of quirks to go along with this mech. We're filling out every hard point, so we're taking advantage of every single one. You know, it has the missile cooldown here, 10%, and then the medium lasers have an energy cooldown of 10%. So, you know, there are multiple ways in which you can go about approaching this build, but I definitely wanted to take advantage of that AC2 cooldown, and, you know, these were kind of mixed. I went with the SRM4s at first, and then I was like, well, they got nerfed, and the spread is a lot further, so I decided to stick with Streak 2s. The medium lasers, again, I could have gone with small pulse if I really wanted to get close range, but I, again, wanted to stay consistent and stick to a mid-range role until, you know, the battle develops a little bit more and you do get to close range. All of these weapons are great up close once you get there, but I'm using the AC2s and mediums for my support. 3 tons of ammo. The streaks, I put 3 tons of ammo on, so we have 300 rounds to go through, and I know that might seem like a lot, but you can churn through the ammo really quick, and I didn't want to, you know, be running around without any ammo for that, and also have the ballistic in here and run out of ammo on that as well. So I decided that I wanted to go with 3 tons of streak ammo and 2 tons of AC2 ammo, so I get 150 shots out of my AC2, and 300 shots out of my streaks. So that is where I was focusing on with this build. As for the modules, Advanced seismic sensor and radar deprivation. I want to know if there are any enemies approaching us, especially if I'm on a flank and sealing off a flank. This is a suppression build. It's also an amplification build. So at that mid-range, that's primarily what you're going to be doing. And with advanced seismic sensor, if anyone tries to get a flank, hopefully we will be able to get the jump on them and I can relay that information back to my team as quick as possible. Radar deprivation. Simply to get out of sight. I want to be out of sight. I don't want anyone to target me more than, you know, other than when they do have that FaceTime with me. So if I can hide amongst the terrain or buildings or whatever, I don't want them to get any kind of, you know, information on my mech and be able to detect any sort of weak components or anything, especially with this, with only 12 armor hard points in that left arm. I will lose that shield, and I could easily lose this AC2 as well. So that's where my rationale came into play here. As for the two weapon modules that I went with, I wanted to go with a medium laser range, so again, I could play that support role, that amplification role, along with the AC2, provide mid-range support for our big guys that are on the front lines, and pretty much push them back. You know, let our big guys get the face time, and I'm pretty much just putting down constant DPS from a little bit more range. Then, the Streak SRM2 cooldown. So, if you take a look here, there is no AC2 cooldown. That is not a module that is offered in the game. So I could have either gone with medium laser cooldown, or Streak 2 cooldown, or, you know, even Streak 2 range. But I decided, you know what? The Streaks, being a very short range weapon, I want to make sure that once I am within range, that those things are cooling down as quickly as possible. So between them, the AC2s, and the mediums, I want them all to kind of come together, put down the damage that I'm looking for, and keep churning through that DPS as quick as possible so that I can just constantly put that damage, rattle the cockpit of our opponents, and hopefully everyone from our team can kind of pounce at the same time and get the kills, secure the win. So that was my focus there. That was my intention here, and hopefully you see it between the first game and then the next game, which we're about to go into. Consumables really quick, Cool Shot 9x9 and the improved Airstrike. Cool Shot 9x9 just to keep this mech as cool as possible. The heat does stack up even on cool maps. So, you know, we don't have a lot of heat dissipation here with only 10 double heat sinks. The 1.33 heat management ratio is a great ratio to have in order to build up that heat in your mech, but in order to make sure that this thing does stay as cool as possible, popping that cool shot when you're in the heat of battle just adds to the churning of the DPS, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about constant DPS with this mech, this particular build. And then the improved airstrike, tactical or, you know, intentional. So again, to help you get into a better position out there on the battlefield, maybe, you know, serve as a distraction so that your team can mobilize and get to a better vantage point. Or if your, you know, intention is to just inflict raw damage, you see a lot of the enemy grouped up, or you want to split them or something like that. Once they see the red smoke, they all kind of scatter a little bit and then reconfigure after it's gone. But you know, those are the two intentions behind the airstrike. Not really going to use the or would want to use the UAV in this kind of instance. We are mid-range, so we are amongst the team for the most part as it is. So that is the explanation behind the build. I hope it all makes sense. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Jeez. And I'll be sure to answer them as best as I possibly can. I hope you enjoyed this explanation on this build and that it made sense. I really am enjoying it. It's a lot to churn, a lot of damage to churn out over time. So it's all about sustainability. Sustainability, speed, and damage. Though again, my top three things that you have to focus on when you're building your mechs: speed, sustainability or durability, and damage, or your alpha, or your sustainable DPS. So let's head back out there on the battlefield for one more round of gameplay so you can see how we deal out some more constant DPS in this mech that I have in front of you, the Assassin Darkdeath. Here we go. Alrighty guys, welcome to the second round of gameplay. Here we're on Polar Highlands, and as you can see out there in the distance, it is strictly LRM spam. There is no other weapon that these guys are using based off even just that volley that we saw there. So I'm asking the team that we're getting, not only are we going to get Lerm to death, we already lost one because he got a little too aggressive, very, very far out in front of the rest of the team, and I'm asking everyone if we could just death ball, and everyone on our team is just looking at that barrage that comes over the top of the hill from those LRMs. Now, over comms, everyone is saying, hey, you know, let's head over towards J6 because J6 has the buildings for cover. And if they're only using LRMs, we want them to make sure that they bring the fight to us. Because if we go behind cover, it's going to force them to do either one of two things. They're either going to just stay where they are and not even bother trying to trade with us, or they're going to have to come in closer in order to make sure that their LRMs connect. And you can see that the volleys, they just keep coming over, and I do not want to be caught in the crosshairs or narked or anything like that. And Polar Lurmlins is no fun, especially when you are that target and there's no cover around. It's essentially a death sentence. So, as you can see here, my buddy, one of my unit commanders here, Tolson, I am in the group queue for this round, and he's getting attacked by this wolfhound, but here comes the cavalry, and this guy's instantly going to regret his decision, and you can already see he's trying to get out of the way because he realizes that the reinforcements have arrived, and we're going to make sure he pays the consequence for it. Putting down some damage on that wolfhound, he is supported by this assassin, so our goal at this point is just to make sure that both of these guys go down if we can. But it looks like the wolfhound is going to get away. He just leaves the assassin here to die, and my entire team is forming up, providing a ton of damage on this guy, trying to get that final shot in before he goes down. And finally, my team is able to wrap it up and send that message back to the team, letting them know that trying to flank us and getting some quick kills on us with your fast movers is not going to work. The cavalry is here. We are in position, and we are staying amongst the buildings to avoid the LRM spam. So right now, as you can see, everyone is hiding behind the drums, the buildings, everything, and the Lurms continue to fly. So we're just going to keep surveying everything that's going on. Earlier on, everyone was tormenting us like, enjoy the Lurms, enjoy this, enjoy that. So now I'm telling them, Lurm us, bitches, you're not going to be able to get us because we're all hidden. So we're just constantly looking around, just seeing where they're focusing up, what they're trying to do. And that was their biggest mistake, actually closing in on us when a lot of us are brawlers, shorter range, going to take advantage of that completely and use these buildings while also peeking around the corners to get our damage. And this Highlander is very, very damaged. He's got a cord out center torso. We might be able to get the kill on this guy. He's popping around the corner, 1 or 2 shots from the AC2, and he goes down. So that's a huge kill for us. 3-2 at this point with 9.5 minutes left on the clock. Providing that AC2 support, just putting a couple slugs into our opponents. This assassin is trying to get some damage down. We do have some Lurms incoming, and we're just going to try and move around, use the buildings to our advantage, and pretty much just make it very, very difficult for them to get a lock on us. Constantly moving, constantly using the buildings as cover. But they do have a couple mechs that are actually trying to get into brawly range. So in front of us, we have this Atlas DDC, but my entire team is swarming on him, and he is very beat up at this point. Time to engage, constant DPS mode, rattle that cockpit, and finally he goes down. So a huge kill for our team. 100-tonner is off the battlefield. It is 5-3 at this point. Just under 9 minutes left in the round, and we're going to change targets. They seem to be split. We have a Mad Dog over here accompanied by an assassin, so we're going to try and help out a couple of our friendlies who might be pretty beat up at this point over here. Finally, that assassin goes down. Now it's just the Mad Dog in order to secure this side of our flank, and we're just constantly putting that DPS into him. He is very, very weak at this point. Just 1 or 2 more salvos should be able to take him down with that weak left torso, and there he goes. So my team is able to wrap that one up. Now Lima in front of us is at long range, and we're just going to use our AC2 as suppression fire, so he can't get continuous locks on me or the rest of my team. And the reason for that is because you're constantly shaking the cockpit, because it's very hard to focus on sustaining a lock on your targets when your cockpit is shaking. You know you're getting focused up on with damage, but we're going to ignore him for right now. We're going to focus up on this archer. Our entire team looks to be swarming on him at this point, just putting down this constant sustained DPS, ladies and gentlemen. That is the name of the game. That is what we're going for here. And finally, we get the kill on this guy. So he goes down, going for this linebacker here. A couple more salvos, and finally we get him down. So a double kill, back-to-back archer and linebacker. Now my team is going for the Kintaro. I'm going to go for the Jenner so that we can just kill 2 birds with 1 stone, get this round in the books. So going for the Jenner, he misses with his LRM spam, so that's going to give me the opportunity to close in even further. Very, very weak center torso. A couple more shots. He's going for the kill, but trying to get that salvo into my center torso. But finally, I'm able to land 1 more salvo into his center torso. close out this round, put this one to bed. Let's check out the stats for the round. 4 kills, 6 assists, 4 times doing the most damage, 829 damage with 10 components destroyed. The only way this round was going to work out is if we took the strategy that we had, and that was to hide amongst the buildings in J6. Otherwise, we would have just gotten Lermageddon on Polar Lermlins by the spam. So thank God it worked out in our favor in this case. That's going to do it for this video on the Assassin. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Overall thoughts, it's a unique mech. It's very specific to a certain style of gameplay, so if you don't like that mid-range support, I probably wouldn't pick it up if I were you. It doesn't have a huge alpha. It's sustainable DPS that you're looking for out of this mech. In order to build up those huge scores, you have to be very patient with it, so if you don't like that kind of approach, I don't suggest picking it up. But that's going to do it for the round. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in. Check out the links in the description for the Smurfy build, my Patreon and PayPal pages if you want to support the channel. Thank you guys so much again for all the support and for tuning into this episode of MechWarrior Online, and I do look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Take care, guys.